And then all of a sudden the car just shuts off and it's the middle of the night. We're up in the Ozark Mountains and it's become very clear that this idea was really stupid. One of the most beautiful things about YouTube is that no one really tells you if something is a bad idea. You kind of have free reign and there's no boss telling you if that's smart or stupid. And most of the things that I come up with are very stupid. And probably my stupidest idea was buying the most unreliable car and trying to drive it across the entire country without using roads. I had just learned that there was a trail called the Trans-American Trail and that you could theoretically cross the entire US pretty much using no paved roads. So dirt roads count, but a lot of it is off-road trails. And I thought it would make for a really interesting video to do said trail with the worst possible car. And it turns out the worst possible car that I could come up with was a Land Rover Discovery 2. And if you know about those cars, they are probably one of the most unreliable vehicles to ever exist. They can strand you in about 100 different ways, and they are just known to completely fall apart. And I happened to find the worst possible one. So I start looking on Marketplace for Land Rover Discovery, and I'm obviously using Auto Tempest to find the lowest possible priced vehicle, which is my favorite feature on there. And I find a $2,000 Land Rover Discovery 2 that allegedly hasn't moved in about a year. And it's sitting under a tree at some guy's house. And I offer him like $1,500 and I'll just come get it right now. And he of course agrees. And we go pick up this car and it is way worse than I would have thought. The images were bad, and obviously knowing that it hasn't run in so long, it was probably gonna be bad. But the car it almost sounded like it had anti-lag. You would turn the car on and it was just spitting fire out of the exhaust. And it was misfiring. It must have been running on 2 of the 8 possible cylinders that it had. So before we set off for this trip, we obviously need to make this Discovery run as well as it could possibly run, which is pretty bad. But we take weeks to try to get this thing running. It's the worst thing ever. It's the most painful car experience I've ever had. This thing is just throwing every wrench in the works that it possibly could. We throw one part at it. That part doesn't work. We call probably the smartest Land Rover person that we know, and he has to call the smartest Land Rover people that he knows in order to figure out the problem. And even then, we still can't solve it. This issue takes us weeks to solve, and we eventually figure out that it's just some wiring that was chewed up. Of course, the most annoying problem possible. Even once we get that fixed, we need to get this thing ready for its journey. So we build a bed in the back of the car, we put a roof tent on the top, we put some chunky tires on it, a lift kit, and we think that's about enough to set out on our journey. But of course, we've never off-roaded in our lives before. This is, again, probably the worst possible decision we could ever do for an adventure. But you know what makes a great adventure is a ton of potential mishap. We set off on our journey at, again, probably the worst possible time. We choose December to cross the entire country off-road, as if it couldn't get any worse to begin with. And we obviously are starting in Boston. The plan is to end in California. So we start our journey and it starts off relatively easy. The Discovery is working as well as it could work. It's not misfiring anymore. It's going down the highway at top speed of about 75 miles an hour. And we reach the trail. Everything's going smoothly. So we're about a third into our trip. And the car's been pretty good so far. And then all of a sudden the car just shuts off and it's the middle of the night. We're up in the Ozark Mountains. And it's become very clear that this idea was really stupid. Up until then, it felt like a pretty great idea. Everything was going well, and I was really sure of myself, and I was having a great time. But then, yeah, the car completely turns off, and we have no idea why. Luckily for us, all it was a loose battery terminal that had just shaken itself loose. So we fixed that, easy fix, and we keep on driving. And honestly, it's going well, again, for another about a third of the trip. Until we hit what I was really kind of worried about the most, and that's Moab. Now, Moab, if you don't know, is obviously pretty technical. It's a very aggressive terrain. It's in the Canyonlands National Park, and it's a lot of rock crawling. A lot of the stuff that we had been doing before that was mostly dirt roads and kind of heavy elevation change and some snow because it was December. But the rock crawling is something, as I said before, we've never done off-roading before, and rock crawling is the most technical of the off-roading. And we broke probably every single rule that you're supposed to break. I don't know. I'm sure I can't get in trouble for it now. But when we went into Moab, you're supposed to tell the National Park Service that you're entering the park in December. I didn't do that. You were supposed to have a camping permit. I didn't do that. This was a long time ago, so hopefully the statute of limitations is all gone. And you were supposed to, for the trail that we were doing, which is part of the Trans-America Trail, you're supposed to have accompanying vehicle with you for that section along with 35-inch tires. And we did not have any of those things. But of course, we had no idea. So ignorance is bliss. We continue along our route, and we did some serious rock crawling. The Discovery really started to shine at this point. It's sort of how I imagine a GT3 RS is on track, is how the Discovery was off-road. Somehow, by a miracle, it didn't break, and it went over it's like a mountain goat. It just goes over everything. It's not a very good car in any other aspect, but the second you put it there, it's actually really pretty great. However, the Moab section is about like 75 miles long, and we could not complete it in a single day. So it's very quickly becoming nighttime. And we do end up camping there, which we have no service. It's about 15 degrees. We're camping in like probably the sleeping bags that are rated to, 25 degrees at best. I don't even know. I bought them on Amazon. But honestly, the camping experience, as miserable as it was a ton of fun. The car ended up making it through all of Moab, making it across the desert to California, and it only broke the one time. The battery terminal was the only thing to ever break, and it proves that sometimes the best adventures you should have no plan. A good adventure has chaos, and you should just let it happen. The entire trip took us close to 3 weeks, I would say, to get across. Yeah, it was terrifying and a ton of fun. And I was scared in the moment, but I look back on it very fondly.
This month of VINwiki content is brought to you by Bridgestone, and the most exciting tire from Bridgestone right now is the brand new RE71RZ. That's their extreme max performance summer tire that is championing pole position. It's built for the grassroots motorsports crowd and offers much better on-track wear patterns than we saw out of the amazing RE71RS that it is now replacing. It uses Bridgestone's enlightened technology to deliver long-lasting performance and much more responsive control. And the RE71RZ is now available across North America in 45 sizes since December 31st of last year. This new tire meets all requirements for SCCA racing and will be eligible for competition use in 2026 for solo and time trials. This new tire is 0.74 seconds faster on a dry lap and 0.75 of a second faster in a wet lap compared to the outgoing RE71RS. This really is an amazing new sports car and supercar tire from Bridgestone, so check it out now, along with everything else that we love about Bridgestone at the link in the description below.